but for tonight, we're going to do. We didn't know really what to cover it or call it because it was sort of a coverage of many little important facets. So one was around coach registration, coach education, and that's going to be delivered by Lindsay Taylor, who's a Swim Ontario staff member, whose responsibility is with coaching and communications and a lot of other things. Big corner office ideas. She's definitely in charge of those. And then we have moving on to the official side of things, sanctioning of swim meets, and pretty much everything that looks into the do's and don'ts around swim meets and competitions. Nicole Perron, another Swim Ontario staff member, whose main focus this year has been really around return to swimming. She has been the gatekeeper of that, and of late has been very much the gatekeeper, the driver of the competitions that are coming up for our high performance exempted athletes. The test event that's in 2 weeks' time, or less than 2 weeks' time. The trials, the Olympic and Paralympic trials that'll be in May, and then the top-up meet that's in June. And Nicole is and just to give a bit of reference point that I believe I spent probably Saturday morning about 45 minutes just reading somewhat of the meat package, the safety plan, and all the other pieces that go into it. So a good part of 45 minutes to an hour reading it. And you can just imagine the hours, days, weeks, months that have gone into this preparation and all the rewrites and everything else, because we've never done a competition of sorts in a pandemic. And there's lots of, so I'm glad to have Nicole here because she needs to be resting up because she has some bigger things to be dealing with and recovering. But glad to have her. And then we have Bud Seawright, who's a former board member of Swim Ontario, but also part of the swimming committee, the Masters Swimming Committee, and a board member of EOMAC, and has hosted a number of swim meets, Masters swim meets. And so Bud's going to give a bit of the practical application piece, actually the bare bones of trying to get a swim meet off the ground. So are we ready? Are we ready? Okay, perfect. We're going to start off with Lindsay. I've given you guys the keys to the show, so carry on and go with it.
Okay. All right, is that showing? There we go. All right, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about swimming, NCCP, and then coach registration. I've been with Swim Ontario for 14 years. Coach education is a big part of my portfolio, so I spend a lot of time helping people try and figure out where in the pathway they want to go, what they need to do. Yeah, so I'm going to start here. So helpful acronyms. A big thing with coaching is that when someone new gets into it, we have a lot of acronyms that get thrown at them pretty quickly that no one ever seems to explain, and then they're expected to kind of keep up. So ones that come up most frequently is the NCCP itself, which is National Coaching Certification Program. CAC is the Coaching Association of Canada. The LOCR, which isn't an acronym, but it needs to be explained in itself, is the CAC database. It's where everyone's transcripts for all of their coaching education across all sports that are affiliated with the NCCP is hosted. So you can look up everyone's transcript, you can look up all their information if you have the right information. LMS is the Swimming Canada Learning Management System. It's fairly new. It is the portal for which all coaching education, swimming specific, gets completed. All of their post-course work, all of their pre-course work, it all gets tracked so that it's submitted online and everything's housed in one place. The RTR is the Swimming Canada registration site. It is mostly used by the club registrars, where all the coaches have to get registered in there, all the swimmers get registered in there, all the officials get registered. And it's where all the coaches have to go to sign their consent forms when they're being registered for the season. CAO is the Coaches Association of Ontario. They're our close partners. When we're in the office, they're our next door neighbor. And they host, for the most thing that they do for swim coaches is that they host the multi-sport modules that are requirements for level 2 and level 3. And they are currently hosting an online conference, which is going super well, and it's super educational and everyone's having a great time. And then the last one is the MED, Make Ethical Decisions. There's an evaluation that is a mandatory part of all 3 of the level pathways, and no one ever says what it is. They're just like, you have to do the MED, you have to do the MED, and then no one ever knows what I'm talking about. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is registration requirements for coaches. So for all clubs, masters, age group, university, all coaches must be registered in the RTR each season. In order for a coach to be registered, we need a vulnerable sector check from them. They must be good. They're good for 3 years, and we have to receive them within 1 year of issue. If you've had to submit one for another organization, that's fine. Just send us the same copy as long as it's from within a year. It's great. I often have the question from masters clubs about, we don't work with children. Do we need to have a vulnerable sector check? The answer is yes, because while you don't work with children, you do work with people with disabilities and with the elderly. Next thing is coaches must all complete the Safe Sport or Respect in Sport Leader module, which is in the locker. It's good for 5 years, and after that it has to be redone, and that's a new requirement this year. Once they start to get registered, they have to do the CSCA screening questions. I don't think I put CSCA on my acronyms chart. It's the Canadian Swim Coaches Association. It used to be CSCTA, but they've reverted back to their original thing. It's Swim Coaches Association of Canada. It's linked with Swimming Canada. It's linked with Swim Ontario. And then the next thing you need is completion of all the Swim Ontario coaching consent forms. So Rowan's Law, AVID, attestation, there's 4 of them in there that need to be completed. And then they have a tick box that says they have to adhere to the Swimming Canada, CSCA, Swim Ontario Code of Conduct. Once all of those things have been done, their coach registration fee has been paid for, they're registered for the season. So it looks like a lot of things, but it can be done really quickly, all in one go. This is an example of what the club registrars see when they register coaches. This is the Swim Ontario one, the coaches that are all registered with Swim Ontario for the year. The reason I bring this up is because a coach is not registered for the season unless it says registered in green in that status category. If you look, Sabrina Ning, she's not registered with us this season because she's not actively coaching. With us, she's a learning facilitator, so we've registered her in the past, but she's not doing it right now, so she's pending. Christy is non-compliant because she has not completed her code of conduct or her Rowan's Law agreement. So Christy's bad, she's not registered, she can't be on deck coaching. So I'm throwing Christy under the bus. All right, I'm gonna move on to NCCP. NCCP is National Coaching Certification Program. It provides standardized, inclusive education across 65 sports. It's led by the CAC, and the sport-specific programming is run through the NSO and the PSOs, so Swimming Canada, and then the provincial sport organizations, in this case, Swim Ontario. Why does a coach need to be certified? This is a multifaceted question or answer. The main thing is we want the coaches to be educated. We want them to know what they're talking about. A big part of the NCCP delivery and the education that they get is actually how to teach the skills. There's a lot of people who end up in the coaching position because they have a lot of experience with swimming, but it's the old adage of those who can't do teach, those who can't, yeah. So, but it's great to have the information and the knowledge, but a bigger part is knowing how to explain it to someone else in a way that makes sense, or in a way that they can use metaphors and think in different ways and not just in the one way that they know how to do it. Another reason is that Swim Ontario and Swimming Canada require that at minimum, the head coach of all affiliated clubs, age group, masters, university, they all need to be certified at least at level 1 fundamentals. Thirdly, as part of the Ontario Health Protection and Promotions Act, in regards to Ontario public pool regulations, all aquatic sports teams, swimming, artistic swimming, water polo, and diving need to have a certified coach on deck at all times. There's no workaround for this. And at the same time, it's up to the facilities to manage. So some of them manage it more strictly than others, but because it's in the Health Act, we need to adhere to it and ensure that our coaches are to the best of our ability, ensure that our clubs and coaches are following that as well. Main level of certification, fundamentals, which used to be called level 1, it's now called fundamentals. I've broken down the steps. So the first thing a coach needs to do, they need to be at minimum 15 years old to take the Swimming 101. Swimming 101 pre-course workbook, it can be found in the LMS. Swimming 101 course, it's currently only online. It's held over 4 sessions. When we go back to doing it in person, we usually hold it over 2.5 days. It can be compressed down to 2 days, but by the end of day 2, if it's only over 2 days, we found that it's harder for the coaches to focus and they get a little overloaded because they're long days. Swimming 101 course is $350. There is a bursary through the CAO that subsidizes up to 75% of that after the course. So you'd have to pay up front and then you apply for the bursary and then you can get 75% of what you paid back. And that's a great program. I highly recommend. I send the links in the information to do that. To register for the course, you go online through the LMS. After the course, you now have access to the links to the post-course work. In the LMS, there's a fundamentals portfolio, so a workbook and an assessment. You go through the workbook, you submit it for marking. If it's not completed to the ability that the instructor thinks that you can be, they'll send it back to you for corrections, and then you resubmit. You don't have to retake the course. You don't like just get kicked out. They will work with you to get the parts that need to be redone up to snuff. Then the last part for certification is the MED online evaluation. It's completed in the locker. There's 2 ways to do it. There is a course offered through CAO. If you take the course, which is about $75, the evaluation is free and you have unlimited attempts. If you don't take the course and go straight to the evaluation, it's $85 and you only have 2 attempts. If you're unsuccessful after 2, you have to go back and take the course before you do it again. So that's level 1 in a nutshell. Level 2, very much the same format. I'm not going to go into it as deeply. The only thing is of note is that there are 3 multi-sport courses that need to be taken through CAO before you can take the 201 course. Other than that, that's about it. It does include a evaluation at a competition. So that's the only part right now that we can't do due to our remote situation right now. Also, there's the making ethical decisions evaluation is required for that. But if you already did it for level 1, you don't need to do it again. It's a one and done and transfers between skills right now. Level 3, senior coach, same idea. There's different multi-sport courses that have to be taken ahead of time. But the rest of it follows the same thing. You do a pre-course workbook, you take a course. It has 3 portfolios that you have to do. It's divided up by type of evaluation. Then there's an evaluation at a practice and an evaluation at a competition. Once again, those 2 things can't be done right now due to COVID. And then there's also the MED online evaluation. But once again, if you've already done it, you don't need to redo it. Professional development points. All coaches need to get 20 or 30 professional development points based on their certification. There's a bunch of ways listed on this slide that you can get it done. Active years of coaching, you can get up to 5 points for 5 years. Self-directed learning, 3 points. There's a bunch of e-learning modules in the locker and in the LMS that coaches can take. If you take coach-specific webinars, such as Csca has been hosting a lot since COVID started. All of those are worth points. Conference, regional provincial training camps, pre-approved things. The link there is actually kind of hidden on the Swimming Canada site. If your club is hosting, they're bringing in a sports psychologist to talk to all your coaches, and they know when they're coming in and they know the format, they can ask for that initiative to be eligible for PD points. So if you're bringing in someone to talk to your coaches for their education, highly recommend use that link or email me and I'll send you the link. Got some frequently asked questions that I get a lot. What if I don't complete my PD points in time? If a coach doesn't complete them in time, their certification reverts to non-renewed until they complete the points. So if you're missing 2 points, you're non-renewed, you complete those 2 points, you're no longer in trouble. You're fine, it reactivates. Are non-registered coaches allowed to be on deck during workouts? No, all coaches must be fully registered. It mainly comes down to insurance. If you have a non-registered coach on deck and there is an issue, the first question the insurance company always asks is that coach registered? If it's no, they're gonna be like, well, that person should have been there at a luck. Can a non-certified coach be on deck during workouts? Yes, as long as they're registered for the season and there's a certified coach with them on deck, because we always have to have a certified coach on deck at all times. Does there need to be a certified coach on deck at competitions? Not for masters, because we're aware that you're adults and you don't always go in big groups like the age group club swimmers. There does need to be a certified coach on deck at competitions for age group swimmers and for university. If I'm a coach and a lifeguard, can I be working in both roles? From our perspective, yes. However, it's up to the facility if they allow you to do that. Some facility you have to use their internal lifeguarding staff, others you don't. And then others still, they're like, okay, we're okay with you doing one role, but not the other. You can't be both. And then I have some old training and certification. What do I need to do to renew or upgrade it? Contact me and I will help you figure it out, because depending on where you are in the pathway, the answer can be different. And that's it. Here's my contact info. I'm easiest to contact via email, because a lot of the answers for questions that people have often about coaching, it involves links. So it's easier for me to email a response than to try and walk you through a website and where you're supposed to go.
Super. Is there any questions?
That was really great, Lindsay. Thanks for doing that. That's very helpful to me, actually.
Excellent.
Well, I think it'd probably be helpful to all our coaches.
Yeah, but I'm sort of right in the middle of all these questions, Dean, so the time for me is really good.
Yeah. So Andy, you just did your 301 course, right?
No.
No?
I have the 301 and I have that through the School of Hard Knocks, but that doesn't count.
Yeah. So I once in a while I get Andy and I correspond about questions about stuff like that, and it's good.
No, that was great, Lindsay. Thanks.
Yeah, that was really good, Lindsay, and I think it's going to help. I know that these questions always come up, and just like Lindsay said, best to contact her if you can't find the answer, just as she conveyed all the information there. So, been very, very helpful.
It's Dan. Can I just ask one question? Because I know we've had this conversation before about non-certified coaches. It's especially challenging in small, remote communities where they might not have a certified coach, especially in masters. But so that is what it is. But of the 27 clubs we have, they all have certified level 1 coaches, right?
Everyone who is affiliated with Swim Ontario, at least their head coach is at minimum level 1 certified.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Lindsay, just so I'm clear on current lingo, are you fading away from levels 1, 2, and 3 in favor of those names like foundation?
We are, but we kind of intermix them.
Yeah.
Anyone in swimming will know what you're talking about. If you called CAO and asked them, I need to know what multi-sport module I need to take before my level 2, they're not going to know it straight off the bat.
Yeah.
because they're going to be confused, because then there's also they have other words for it. So like level 1 and 2 fundamentals and age group also get called competition introduction, and senior coach level 3 gets called coach development. And there's a lot of terminology going on, but as long as you're talking to someone, like if you're talking to me or if you were talking to someone at Swimming Canada and you said level 2, we know what you're talking about.
Whereas NCCP lingo is moving towards the other, or are they still 1, 2, 3?
They have moved towards the other.
Yeah.
Super. Great. Well, this is going to blend in nicely towards now the swim meets that we have certified coaches coaching, coaches with good credibility to create to allow the swimmers to get ready for a swim meet. But there's many things that you need to know. And so, Nicole, I'm going to turn the steering wheel over to you, and this is going to be quite informational for sure. There's a lot of things to understand and realize, and I know that masters love their swim meets. That's why we work with them in the manner. We just need to get more of them doing them. So here we go. All yours, Nicole.
Oh, hi everyone. Lindsay promised me I could have some of her minutes, but I think she took all of her minutes. So I'm going to try and go through this in my 15 minutes, but there are 17 slides.
Well, you just carry on. The information is vital. Thanks.
So Dean wanted me to talk a little bit about officials, and Swimming Canada has gone through and reevaluated how many officials, the minimum required officials are needed on the pool deck during these COVID times. And I think this is going to carry forward in the future. So they've reduced several of the requirements, and they've combined some positions. I realize that for masters meets, this happens already. It's a standard practice, but it's good for age group, and it's also good for masters, because then you can get the qualifications and certifications even with those reduced numbers. So we've reduced the number of timers per lane to 1 now, and in some instances, no timers altogether. So this basically really reduces the number of people that you have to go out and recruit, and will help in terms of running some swim meets. So we do have lots of documentation regarding this change on our website, and when the presentation is available, then all these links will be can be accessed. So as an example, if you're in a 6, 8, or 10 lane pool, if you have electronic timing, you can actually get away with only 10 officials. That's a huge difference from what it's been in the past. Another example, if you have no electronics, or you're just doing manual timing, it can be reduced down to 15 officials in a six lane pool. So here are some examples. If you have electronics in place, no timers, you'll need a meet manager, and they can also do recorder score position. That's basically working on the high-tech computer software. A referee, a starter, 2 inspectors of turns at the start end, and 2 at the turn end. So even if you have 10 lanes, you only need to have 2 on either side. 2 strokes of judges, 1 on each side, and 1 chief judge electronic. So that's a significant reduction in the number of officials. And here's just an example here of another one where you have no electronics in place, and you would just basically have 1 timekeeper per lane, where some of the timekeepers are stroke and turn qualified. And so it's really reducing the number of people that you need. What does this mean for masters? Other than your meet manager, it means that you're basically looking for 1 to 2 senior officials, because those are the ones that are usually the most difficult to find for masters meets, and then just having 4 to 6 stroke and turn qualified officials. And that qualified means that they've taken the clinic. All the other officials can earn their qualifications via the Swimming Canada e-modules. And I'll just go through that. This is, Lindsay alluded to it. She called it the LMS, and that's the Swimming Canada learning modules that they have, and it's accessible at this link. And it's all online courses for officials. Unlike the coaches, they are all free for officials, and they can earn their qualifications by doing the following. There's 4 different positions that they can basically learn through these e-modules. Once they've taken that e-module, then they actually can work on the deck and earn that experience. How do you access this education site as an official? It's a little bit more complicated than one would like, but you need to be registered as an official with Swimming Canada on their registration system in order to access those e-modules. So a club would need to have a club official administrator that would create accounts on the Swimming Canada registration site. And then once those accounts are created, then the official can actually access those e-modules. So there's a link here to our website, which talks about the officials registration. And basically it's just getting an account on that that you need to be able to access those e-modules. So there's for a club that wants to have their officials do the timekeeper clinic, the chief timekeeper clinic, and the clerk of course clinic. They could create accounts for their officials, and then they would basically be able to log in and do that. So there's a really big registration guide to help the club official administrator learn how to use the system in order to be able to create those accounts for officials. So this is what the LMS looks like on the official side. You'll notice here you have coaches and coach courses and all of that, all of this stuff here for basically for coaches, but there is a tab for officials, and they would basically just log in, and then from there they would click on their status and they could enroll in any of the e-modules that are available. And once that e-module is complete, it will update their online profile on the Swimming Canada registration system. And that means that they would then be qualified to work that position. So this is an easy way to get your officials qualified to work the positions that are needed on the deck, because it's at their own pace. They do it themselves. It does require a volunteer club official administrator to create those accounts so that the officials can log in and do those e-modules. Dean wanted me to talk a little bit about official certification. So I'll just go through the level 1 and the level 2 official certification that we have currently. So level 1's pretty simple. All they have to do is do that e-module, the introduction to swimming officiating clinic. Once that's complete, they're actually level 1 certified. That's basically all they have to do. So it's pretty easy to get to level 1. Once you start taking more e-modules, get a little bit more of experience, that's when you can strive for level 2 certification. Level 2 certification means that you have to take the stroke and turn clinic, and for masters, that would most likely you would have to bring in a senior official to give that clinic. It's not available online at this time, or you sign up when Swim Ontario is hosting hosting one of those webinars, because we have been doing that since the pandemic has begun. And they would have to take that clinic and then get some experience working that at competitions. We're not yet into competition mode for the majority of our clubs, but we're slowly getting there. And then you would have to take one more clinic. So that chief timekeeper or that clerk of course that's available online, they could take one of those two, and then they would work a few meets and get the experience, get those deck evaluations. Once that is complete, then they would be certified at level 2. The full details are available on the Swim Ontario website, as well as the Swimming Canada website, because this is the official certification that Swimming Canada has. So I've talked a lot about being qualified and then being certified. So there is a difference in the officiating world. Qualified official to work a position means that they've taken the clinic or the E-module. Except for the referee and starter, this position can be assigned as soon as they're qualified. As soon as they've taken the theory, they can work it. They can work it on the deck. A referee and starter position will have other requirements and mentoring before being assigned to these positions. A certified official, it means that they have to obtain some on-deck evaluations, and your senior officials would take care of that. Right now, during our stage 1 return to racing, which I speak with a little bit further, you must work 2 sessions in stage 1 and 1 session in stage 2, but we're not at stage 2 yet, in order to count as 1 on-deck evaluation. So because they're just an hour and a half in stage 1, that's how long the sessions are. Currently, that's what we came up for, an on-deck evaluation. Return to racing. So Bud's going to talk about the fun stuff, and I'm talking about all of the Swim Ontario requirements for return to racing. So once you get back into training, at some point, your club may want to run some kind of event. In the majority, all of the racing that's happening right now is just within the club, so it's only the one club at their home pool. No one's traveling or anything like that. So that's our stage 1 right now. It's just one club, and the maximum number of athletes right now is 50 based off of the Ontario regulations. So there's lots of stuff that needs to be done pre-sanction application. These are all outlined on the Swim Ontario website. But basically now with COVID, you have to identify a safety coordinator that will be part of meet management committee. So that never used to be a thing, and now it is. So, you have your meet manager, but you would also need to have a safety coordinator. That can be the meet manager as well, or a return to swimming committee member, or the officials coordinator. So the only person that it can't be is your senior official, basically, because they're busy doing other stuff. The safety coordinator cannot be that person. So you have to develop a return to racing safety plan. That's all part of our process, but it's also part of the Ontario regulations now. Everybody has to have a safety plan in place whenever they're in whatever kind of job or event that they are dealing with. We have a template, so it's fairly simple. You have to answer some questions and come up with strategies, but there's a template there available for you. And then there's a checklist you have to complete just to make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row regarding this. And that's fairly simple to go through. And you also have to get a letter of endorsement or an email endorsement from your facility that they'll allow you to run a sanctioned event. So this is what stage 1 racing looks like right now. This is a bit complicated, but I just, it's basically one club, maximum 50 swimmers, and it's like a 2 hours maximum with a 30-minute warm up. So it's really trying to make sure that people come in, they arrive, they warm up, they race, and they leave. And it's that's all that's happening. There's not too much socializing that can happen. Right now, we've got that a swimmer may only participate in one sanctioned racing once a week, just to prevent multiple days of a swimmer competing, but a club can apply up to 2 sanctions a day. So 50 swimmers, 90 minutes total of racing. Everything is time final. There's no relays that are permitted. During the warm-up period, we're not allowing any equipment, just to be on the safe side. And it's just a matter of just following the Ontario regulations and making sure we're doing it safely. There are a whole bunch of deadlines for a sanction application and what the club has to do. This is outlined on the Swim Ontario website under competitions. And as a club, you need to have a meet management committee, and Bud will discuss that. But basically, prior to your sanction application, you have to obtain that endorsement from your facility, complete your safety plan and the checklist. Your club official administrator, if you're getting a club helping you, that's a little bit different, and Bud will talk about that. But basically, you have to make sure that your safety coordinator, meet manager, competition coordinator are all fully registered. All of your other officials, you have to make sure you complete all of the forms that are associated with their account. Lindsay alluded to, it doesn't take very long to do, but there's lots of things that they have to complete as an official. The meet manager has to apply 2 weeks before the actual event will take place. There's a ton of resources at this link. It's called all the meet management resources are there. How do you get access to a meet manager account? In order to apply for a sanction, your club registrar can set up that meet manager account. And from there, you can apply for a sanction that's on the Swimming Canada's registration system. Once you have a meet manager account, this is what you'll see. And basically you click on meet list and then add a meet, and a whole big screen will come up, and you just have your meet package, and you could just answer all of the questions that are being asked based on what's in your meet package. We'll do a review. This is currently what the review looks like. Because of all the complexities of COVID, there's quite a few things that need to be reviewed, and everything is looked at, make sure that everything is in place. If there's something that's missing, we'll ask you to complete that. If there needs to be meat packages that need to be fixed, that can also be done. So this is our review, and then we would email you back if there was any changes that need to be done. Just as I think Bud's going to talk a little bit about this, but there's a whole bunch of things that meet management is responsible for. So once you find a meet manager, that's a good thing, because there's quite a few things that they have to do. And you learn all of this when you take the meet manager clinic. So I believe that's it for me. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
That was great, Nicole. Is there any questions out there? I know, Jack, you had a question earlier on when you registered. Did you get the answer?
I think I did.
Very good, Nicole.
Yeah, a lot of online resources. So in order for us to take the courses for, we have to be registered, the coach needs to register us?
Well, that whoever is your club
The-
club official administrator or the club registrar,
Right.
or it could be the coach, whoever wants to be the what we call the club official administrator. They would get an account, and from that account, they can create official accounts who would then have access to the LMS.
Sounds
Yeah.
like we should have many people taking these online courses.
Well, they are available. The strategy of getting the official an account is probably the hardest part. But once they have the account and they know how to log in, then things are quite simple in terms of taking those e-modules.
Good. Any other questions? No? Perfect. Well, that was great, Nicole. This is going to be helpful. I mean, you can always just, any new clubs, you can just turn them over to this video and they can be helped a lot. In the same thing, whenever you have a question, Nicole and the staff are always happy to help. So, Bud, you get to do the fun stuff.
Yeah, well, most of the fun
Bring it
stuff.
on. Bring it on.
Nicole got most of the fun stuff. That's well. Okay, so if you're a master's club and you want to decide to host a meet, the best thing to do is about the year previous, depending on what size of meet. If it's just an inter-club time trial, then you could do it a week or two out. But if you want to host an invitational, then you have to it would be good to look at the calendar, and a lot of facilities want to have that date, their whole year schedule in place. So if you're looking for a day or a weekend at a pool, I know ours, the Etobicoke Olympium, they want it in May the year before. So the sooner you get to it, the better it is. So you'll have to meet with your board of directors or your coaches and your membership and determine what type of meet and when you'd like to have it. Go to your facility, set the schedule. We are trying to promote a schedule at Swim Ontario, or a meet schedule, that a calendar. That it's been a bit of a challenge to get clubs to have meets, so we're promoting everybody to try to host a meet if you can. So the calendar right now starts in September. The year starts in September, and people get back in the water. And then EOMAC, we host a meet in November, the semi-serious meet. December right now has the I Am Fast meet, which is put on by Swim Ontario, and it's part of OJI, which is an excellent chance to see some of the fastest juniors in the world and swim at TPASC. February, now Burlington has come on board, and they traditionally hosted a meet in February, which is well attended. In March, we had Wilmot Aces hosted a meet this year that they have a very nice pool, and it was a good meet as well. Then we're already into April with, provincials, March, April for Swim Ontario provincials. May is nationals. June, July are a bit of a after nationals is over. Most people are done for the year, but there's people that head to world championships and nationals in the US, which are in August. So again, we host a meet in June, and it's always a good time. People are looking for meets and competitions to tune up for those big championships. So there's lots of places to host a meet. Swim Ontario also is through promoting racing or meets as an event or a meet hosting grant of $1,000 to try and reduce the risk of financial losses, because our membership is growing, and we're really trying to promote competition and membership. So that's it. So once you've decided with your coaches on a date and facility, that form that that Nicole had up for the checklist. One of the things on it was the facility you have, if it's suitable for a swim meet, as it have its depth check, and do you have electronic timing, starting blocks, and all the rest. The thing you'll want to do, Nicole went over this, is assign a meet manager as well, who will have a committee. There's a big difference between a master's club and age group swimming club when you're going to host a meet. An age group swimming club mostly has a lot of machinery in place. Like they have a staff, a lot of them they'll have people that have done this before. It's really good to have a association with an age group club to help you with your meet. You'll get access to senior officials. You'll get timers, and it can be a two-way street. I would recommend to all masters clubs to, along with your registration, register all of your members as a official as well as a swimmer. It costs like $6 extra on your registration, I think. Is that still the case, Dean or Nicole?
Yeah, $5.65.
Okay, so just do it. Just get everybody registered as, if you're planning a meet, get everybody registered as a official, and then get them signed up for that first E module. Promote the E modules for timer, and get everybody started that's not started already, because a lot of masters really want to give back. They want to do it. They want to volunteer. So it can be a two-way street with your age group club if you're providing officials for their meet. They have another pool, and try to help each other to host meets and keep everything running smoothly. So you want to look at the again, the number of officials you need and all that stuff. After you've decided all that, you have a meet manager, you have your COVID safety committee, all that. The meet manager takes care of all that. The number of officials also would go down as well. There's a couple of small changes for a master's meet compared to a age group meet. Like there's one or two rule changes that the officials need to know the difference, and which aren't very that much different. Also, one of the things you got to consider is, if you're doing your planning and your budgeting, is at a master's meet, there's always must be available a warm up and warm down lane for throughout the entire meet. So if you have a 6-lane pool, you can only have 5 of those lanes. If you have a 8-lane pool, then 7 or 6, depending on how many you want to run per for that meet, depending on your registration. So once you've decided to have a meet, then you have to decide what the format's going to be, like how many days, or sorry, how many sessions you're going to have. Like a 1-day meet might have 2 sessions, a morning and an afternoon, with a lunch break. Well, it's all pre-COVID. I really don't have any experience running anything in COVID. I don't think anybody does. And it hopefully we'll get back to where something similar to what we had before. But when we don't, Swim Ontario has all the resources to help us plan something mostly for next year. We have so on Swim Ontario's website, there is the resource page for first of all, for swimming.
There you go.
So along with what Nicole was saying, the meet managers on Swim Ontario's website, there's a lot of resources for running a swim meet. It's excellent. There's more than you could imagine. It's all necessary too, and it's very complete. So that is at the Swim Ontario under if you under clubs and forums and under Meet Manager resources, this all is there for you to help you to prepare for a meet, or help your Meet Manager prepare for a meet. Once you do it, it becomes there's links for the Meet Manager for a say for instance a meet package. So there's two for masters. There's one in-house competition meet for a meet package for a master. These are specific to masters clubs, and another one for just a regular competition, which is a little bit more extensive. But everything is there to help you get a meet off the ground. Once you're having the meet, the meet day, you have a lot of responsibility. Your Meet Manager has a lot of responsibilities to keep the thing going. For that day or a number of days, there's always challenges and things that come up. And again, it's really good to have a association with an age group club that'll have a Meet Manager and your senior officials to help you out with those positions. It's the best way to go if you're having, especially if with the entry system and everything else. Swim Ontario is working on a entry system for masters as well, an online entry system that will help masters clubs, because we are a little bit less organized or less set up for meets so far than most masters club or age group clubs.
Yeah, that's Swimming Canada. Don't forget to give yourself a plug, Bud, that if anybody ever needs help, just call Bud.
Yeah, I'm available.
Bud at Seawright.ca, isn't that right? Yeah.
Yeah, but both for helping with officials, as well as if you need like senior officials in Ontario are very eager to help. They really like going to masters clubs and events, and it's no problem. It's usually no problem filling those positions, especially for a one-day meet.
So what I gathered in the chat from Nicole, she said that Swimming Canada is preparing this sort of entry process, and they have a virtual option now as well. So when we do get to start competing, that may be one way of comparing results, is through a virtual method. That's something that we're playing with as well. Anything to add on that, Nicole?
Oh no, I just remembered that Swimming Canada does have a virtual option now. So because we're restricted to do these in-house competitions right now during stage one of the ways to make this more interesting would be to go the virtual option, where all of the results would be combined with several clubs who are doing a meet, and then the results are uploaded as one meet instead of several different meets. That's all. I just remembered that, so I thought I'd put it in the chat. Sorry, Bud.
Yeah, no problem. No, it's all good. I really you covered most of the things I was looking at as well. So it's not that. It's a lot of work, but it's a good. It's really necessary for our clubs to start hosting meets. Sanctioning a meet with Swim Ontario gives you a Swimming Canada sanction, and that provides insurance for your meet, and it gives you access to Swim Ontario officials. Well, I'm sure if a meet manager needs officials and they call, you can see in the RTR there's an official lookup for the meet manager. So you can look up officials that you think you might, and you can see what their level of qualifications are. But have that access, have that association with an age group club really is a big bonus, and it's part of Swim Ontario. And also we've been talking through with the committee is how it would work to host a master's age group integrated meet. And so what we're coming up with is it would mostly be like a one session for masters out of multiple sessions for age groupers, that if that could be combined in one meet as well, that in a smaller locations where hosting any meet is a challenge. Those are just some of the ideas we've been working on. So there's also in master swimming, a big part of it is a social part, which is not really until COVID is totally over. It's not really going to be part of any meets in the near future. So, but it is there, and part of your organizing committee is usually part for food and social, as well as the other committee for the meet. But it is always a big part of master swimming, and it will come back. So hopefully we'll be ready for it. Other than that, there's not too much else that's different between masters and age group. So does anyone have any questions about hosting a masters meet? Or
Yes, when are they going to get in the pools, Bud? That's everybody's question. When are we getting in the pools?
Some people are in the pool already, and
sure.
like Dan up there, and
they're a couple times a week. We have a twice a week program, and then lane swimming the rest of the time, basically. I guess my only comment is this was such good information, and we got 27 clubs. We got to find a way to get them all, on the phone, on a webinar or something to communicate this great information. And I'm wondering, this is more of the committee discussion I think we have to have about maybe around the AGM and how we could create, kind of redo this so that we can get more clubs engaged, because it's all great information.
Well, we'll figure that thing out. We have, just as you say, we have a committee meeting on Thursday, so that'll be another discussion, a continuing discussion on how we can get engagement. But I think these webinars have definitely helped, and I think we'll make having a webinar such as this it's been quite informative, and it would help with quite a bit. Any other questions?
Yeah,
Andy?
Bud and Nicole, I think I heard it all. I think I know the answer. Just to double check, if I ever wanted to put on a swim meet involving both my master's team and my age group team, there aren't many barriers there, are there?
Well, there are. Bud will know better, or Nicole will know better.
I mean, it'd be a super fun thing to do for a number of reasons. Not just they want to race each other, but also it's also good to involve the master's team to help the age group team, etc. What barriers do you see?
Currently our sanctioning procedures don't allow for masters to compete in an age group meet. So that's number one. So we would have to come up with, we would have to discuss it and see whether or not we want to explore that option for at least interclub stuff.
Yeah.
And see where we could, but it has to be discussed first, because right now our sanctioning procedures don't allow it. You could have a masters meet and then as Bud was saying, and then an age group meet, but they can't be integrated together at this point. It would be two separate sanction applications.
Well, the inverse then, if we had a masters meet, does that sanctioning allowed to have age groupers in the masters meet? I'm assuming that answer is no.
That answer is no, correct.
So the difference is in registration. Like a competitive open swimmer is a different registration totally than a master swimmer. So even though we're both sanctioned competitive swimmers, it's just a different registration with Swim Canada.
Okay, guys, I just thought I'd check on that. It is a concept I like, and I'll just keep working towards that a bit.
Yeah, I really like it too. I really like the idea of like having a session, like having a session of, or a different day, like for masters meet and an age group meet to like.
Oh man, I want to put them head to head, but oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, definitely. The kids would love the kids. I've run workouts with them both, and the kids love swimming with them. They do. They like racing them. They like being part of it. And then of course the master swimmers whine because the kids are too fast. All the more reason to pit them against them.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Well, this has been great. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Bud, for this information. As we've been recording it, it will become on the website, and hopefully the masters community for sure will take notice of it, and we'll have to push it out to them a little bit more. I know that Jack, you were going to, sometimes we get a bit of feedback. I always ask for feedback. So do you need to put that in the chat, whether someone wants to copy and paste that?
I can do that.
That's a there we go. So Jack always does a little bit of a survey. So if you wanted to do that, that would be wonderful. The next webinar we will have is April 25th, Sunday, April 25th. It'll be on open water swimming. We'll be covering off safety and some training pieces and things like that. We also know that we probably have to have a get going on reviewing and looking at where we are in open water, whether it's in the training piece or in we'll call it competitions. We have the safety aspect is very, very important to us. And we know that that's probably going to be a bit of definitely an appeal again, this coming period of time. We are in the works of planning to, hello, Michael, how are you? Good to see you. We are planning on 2 open water events that's sort of under the Swim Ontario umbrella. There won't be championships or anything of that, being consistent with what we've done, our statement around summer swimming, leaving that for clubs to try and get their feet on the ground and faces in the water. But we're going to try, we have a few steps to go on that before we can make the official announcement, but our plan is to have in July and one in August. A lot determined on what our gatherings will be. We know what was, and maybe things will be a bit different by the time July rolls around, but still, again, it will be a massive undertaking in a lot of ways, just because of all the safety precautions that need to be done. But we're excited about that. We're excited. So that's pretty much it.